A fashion which seems to have had its origin in some remote century, but which of late years has made its appearance on America's fair continent, falling upon the prosperous soil, first in New York and thence spreading broadcast over the land, has at last reached Leadville. Confirmed to a circle which the keen instincts either of a reporter or a detective have alone been able to penetrate, the discovery is well worth a thorough explanation. The fashion, as we will call it, is that so commonly practiced by the belles of Paris, London, and New York, and in fact of every metropolitan city at the present time, of tattooing their limbs or certain portions of their persons by pricking into the skin with indelible dye stuffs, some device or the initials of one dearly beloved. It is the latest folly of fashion, and yet not altogether a novel fashion. In its first inception, the idea was directly at variance with, and wholly of a higher significance than, the present abuses to which the practice has been subjected by the frivolous beauties of modern society. An expert in the lore dates the custom back to the days of Cleopatra, when the maidens at court and the daughters of noble families and high officials had inserted into the soft tegument of their bosoms, or some other adoptable portion of their persons, the heraldic device of their family, as the incontrovertible evidence of their exalted birth. The practice in after years seems to have passed into forgetfulness, until some ingenious speculator upon the frailty of human nature in the 19th century revived it with sensational effect, by directing the attention of womankind to its desirability as another degree and style of fashion. The Parisian belles first adopting it and finding eager emulators in the beauties of Russia's capital and the fair belles of Vienna and London, the society ladies of New York soon excelling in the fashionable folly. Some weeks ago, Leadville first caught the popular notion. It was imported by a fashionable woman from the East, and through her influence, numerous fair damsels have been enrolled in the ranks of giddy votaries to the folly. If, as you say, the matter would be of so great an interest to your readers, I presume I shall have to explain, remarked the lady to a reporter yesterday, after a desperate but futile attempt on her part to evade the question entirely. Ladies come to me every day to have a monogram or some loved initial inserted into their skin, but the habit prevails principally among the fashionable fancy women, with whom it soon becomes a perfect mania, and whom I can with impunity assess a price that may be called a reasonable remuneration. The operation is not an easy one, and not without its dangers. A monogram must be inserted by a skilled hand. One irregular puncture spoils the whole. None but women who are well off in this world's goods can afford to have monograms inserted into their flesh, for the dye stuffs I use are the most expensive to be had, and are expressly imported from India. The simpler the article demanded, of course, the lower the price I charge. Monograms of 2 letters in 2 colors come to $50 and $25 for every additional letter. Separate initials, plainly worked, $10 and $15. Fancy initials, $20 and $25. Some ladies come to me with a request to work difficult lace designs into their arms. In this I excel. The work requires an accurate eye and steady nerves, but is much easier performed than a monogram. A large class of highly respectable young ladies have their limbs from the ankle up to above the knee tattooed after the design of colored hose. This may sound absurd, but the effect is charming and the process cheap. 2 weeks ago, a dashing young lady entered my establishment and requested me to work 2 initials into her left bosom. The story she told me was pathetic in the extreme. She was engaged to a consumptive young man in Denver. Her folks are from Louisville, and she accompanied her father out to Leadville while the latter was looking after some important mining matters. During her stay here, she received a letter from her lover announcing that he was fast failing. On the impulse of love and the devotion, she hastened to me and had me tattoo the initials of her lover's name indelibly upon her bosom. I called her attention to the folly of her course. In case her lover died and she should become affianced to another, but it was of no avail. She declared that she must show her devotion in some form, and how better could she accomplish this than by sacrificing her person to the lasting effects of the tattoo process. I accordingly performed the work. She went to Denver, where her lover died. A week ago, she entered my establishment and, with tears in her large brown eyes, implored me to efface the marks. I could not, I told her, do that, but I could alter the initials into some fantastic design. She begged me to do so. The initials were ineffably wrought into the skin in red and blue dye stuffs. I immediately applied myself to extending the horizontal lines, connecting them, and adding others, bringing out the following result. The model is as unique as the initials permit me to make it. I am very proficient in altering initials in this manner, and the most fantastic forms of imagery are oftentimes the result. The class of work I am called upon to perform depends on the nature of the applicant. Fancy women delight in the Japanese pattern. Ladies of fashion, outside of having initials worked into their skin, generally have me tattoo a fancy skirt about the muscle of their arm to resemble the clasps worn by the women in ancient times. Others have mottos and heraldic devices tattooed on the lower part of the arm near the armpit, where it may never be detected, while still others choose to have me perform the work on the knee or the side of the thigh, wherever fancy dictates. The lady rolled up her sleeve, and on the soft white skin of the upper arm plainly appeared, in delicate blue and red tints, a beautiful design of the three Christian graces, executed with a degree of skill which only the perfection of lithography can equal. The lady, as she quickly covered the tattooing from sight, explained that the work of that character never came lower than $150, and oftentimes as high as $500. "We have no common class of customers," said the lady as the reporter prepared to leave, "and the practice can never become prevalent or descend into the high realm of fashion, partly because only the moneyed can indulge in the luxury, and principally because we never allow the art to grovel in the dirt with the ordinary classes." Carbonate Weekly Chronicle, June 26, 1880.